everybody? It is I, the Nomad, coming to you live from the wastelands of the internet to bring you the news of the day. Right? I see you in the chat there, Mr. Barkley. Welcome, welcome. It's been an interesting day so far for me. To be honest, I've had some vociferous discussions with some people who just they cannot believe they say everything that is going on that with this ice stuff. It's all the ice stuff. It's all the ice stuff. You're not being honest. Oh, I mentioned the woman and the thing was she didn't even touch him. She definitely touched the police officer, and she was fleeing arrest. An arrest she earned. And she was doing it in an aggressive and dangerous manner. Oh, no, wait a minute, no. So what about the guy who ends up in internal injuries? Oh, no, that's made up. That's made up? What evidence do you have that that's made up? Oh, I'm getting mad now. Anyway, let's get started. Train crash mystery. Spanish train disaster. Victims flew through windows and were found hundreds of yards away. More than 39 are feared dead as a mystery over what caused this truly strange crash. Passengers on board two high-speed trains which derailed in Spain last night were catapulted through windows with their bodies found hundreds of yards from the crash site. Spain's transport minister, Oscar Fuente, said the cause of the crash remains a mystery, calling the deadly collision a truly strange incident because the tracks had been renovated last year. Police said Monday that at least 39 people were confirmed dead, while efforts to recover the bodies are continuing, and the death toll is likely to rise. One of the train's drivers is among those killed. The crash occurred on Sunday evening when the tail end of a train carrying some 300 passengers en route to Malaga, right, to the capital of Madrid, went off the rails at 7:45 p.m. An incoming train, which was traveling from Madrid to Helva, all right, and carrying nearly 200 passengers, slammed into the derailed vehicle. The second train took the brunt of the impact, according to Fuente, who, after the collision, knocked its first carriages off the track and sent them plummeting down a 13-foot slope. Fuente said it appeared the largest number of deaths occurred in those carriages. At the moment of the collision, both trains were traveling at approximately 120 miles per hour, according to the Spanish Transport Ministry. Both trains were traveling well under the speed limit of 155 miles an hour, with one going at 127 and the other one going at 130, according to the president of Spain's national state-owned railway, Alvaro Fernandez. He said that human error could be ruled out. That that's that's unfortunate. Okay, the question now is how did these trains derail? All right, especially derailing in front of another train. I mean, if you take a look at these things, this is pretty horrific. But it's almost on a straightway. How did the train derail? This isn't on a curve or anything that I can tell, at least not from here, right? And they're showing a section of track here that looks to be broken. Okay, could this be a truly an accident? Possibly, all right, but I'm wondering if this is malfeasance. The incident last year, all right, followed a wave of arson and sabotage and cyber attacks in Poland and other European countries. Spanish authorities said all the survivors had been rescued in the early morning, while work remained to recover and identify the dead. At least 48 people remain hospitalized. 4 among them were children. All right. These these kind of situations, diversity perhaps. It was diversity of steel. I, it's unfortunate. It's bad that it's happened. All right. Hopefully, at some point, they can get a handle on what the hell was going on, because obviously there was a problem. All right. And for them to say, well, human error is ruled out, you got to remember these conductors, they don't turn the train. Okay. There's not a steering wheel on these things. All right. That doesn't mean that there wasn't another problem. Okay, that doesn't mean that maybe there was some kind of mechanical issue that created a problem. But having a train derail, all right, and then unfortunately derail right in front of another train, it's, I wouldn't call it strange per se. I would call it concerning. That's just me. Over across the pond, Japan's Prime Minister Takahashi says to dissolve the lower house on Friday for a February 8 election. Tokyo's Japanese Prime Minister Sane Takahashi said she will dissolve the House of Representatives on Friday and hold snap general elections on February 8th, calling on voters to decide whether she should remain the country's leader. Critics say the lower house dissolution appears designed to call an election when the cabinet's approval rating are high, lacking a clear justification, with the sudden winter general election prompting complaints, particularly in heavy snow regions. Concerns have also been raised that the parliamentary deliberations will stall during the campaign, delaying passage of the budget and key legislation, while the ultra short election period may leave voters little time to carefully assess competing policy proposals. At a press conference on Monday, Takahashi said official campaigning will start on January 27th after she dissolves the lower house on the opening day of this year's ordinary parliamentary session in a bid to solidify the foundation of her government. She said she will seek judgment from voters on major policy shifts, including her responsible yet aggressive fiscal policies and a coalition deal between her Liberal Democrat Party and the Japan Innovation Party in October. She said she made the very grave decision. I would like to ask people to make a direct judgment on whether we should or they should entrust me with running the nation. Um. Okay. This is a parliamentary government. It was Groundhog Day. It was driving around the track. I'll bet he's worth in it. Um. Yeah. I don't think he was swerving to hit those things. Look, Groundhog's Day aside, Takahashi try and call for elections is to solidify her very aggressive rearming stance. All right, which is somewhat popular at this point, but that popularity may not last very long. All right, as details of how are you going to continue within, to continue the the budget, all right, within the constraints of the budget is going forward. Okay, I they're going to have to make some tough decisions. Okay, and they're going to have some negative effects on people, which of course, as soon as you affect people negatively, support for a program that's harming some people, they see that, you know, they're going to basically resist it. All right. Now, some people are patriotic and say, okay, well, the suffering needs to continue. All right, in the way they see the policies. Okay, that happens regardless of whether you're dealing with Takahashi or some other leader. all right, within a parliamentary system. I mean, let's be frank. That's what a lot of people do. That, in a sense, is what Boris Yeltsin, no, not Boris Johnson, rather. I said Yeltsin. I meant what Johnson attempted to do. Okay, but Boris Johnson's cabinet was not being viewed favorably by the people. All right, and of course, what the result of it was is he created more chaos as COVID hit. But having the Japan wavering like this with a lot of things going on, the government-based economy will be fine. It'll be interesting to see how things going, especially considering the chaos that Trump is living in. Okay. EU to hold emergency summit on Thursday over Trump's Greenland threats. Leaders of the EU countries will hold an emergency summit here on Thursday to discuss U.S. threats related to Greenland, the European Commission spokesman Olaf Gill said on Monday. The summit will assess a possible retaliatory measures in response to threatened tariffs imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump on countries that oppose his plan to acquire Greenland. Gill said the EU continues to engage at all levels with Washington over its new tariff threats and is taking every possible measure to protect the bloc's economic interests. He added that the use of the anti-coercion instrument is not ruled out. He stressed that priority is engagement rather than escalation with the United States. However, should the threatened tariffs be imposed, the European Union has tools at its disposal and is prepared to respond. Enjoy. You're prepared to respond. The EU is looking to get crushed in a trade war with the United States. I have said this before, okay, and I've said this to people. Now, I'm not saying that the U.S. is not going to be affected if it sits up there and throws tariffs onto the EU, which it already has to a large extent. I'm not saying that there won't be Americans affected. Okay? There will be. Overall, the nation will be better off. Overall, the United States would be better off. And I've warned people about this. There's a lot of crap that goes on out there, but the one thing that these countries have forgotten is that the United States doesn't have to play their game. Sure, it'll take a toll on the United States. Okay? I want this understood. But the EU has never been engaging in good faith trade negotiations with the United States ever. It's never been engaged that way. We've always got the short end of all our little trade deals that we make with the EU or European nations as a whole, mainly because of the bipolar world that we lived in for so long. The U.S. had gotten used to doing that to keep the quote-unquote, Soviet Union at bay. But the Soviet Union now hasn't existed for 20 years. Yeah, but the Russians are still a threat. Don't you understand that? No, man. No, I understand it perfectly. Europeans don't seem to. And so the United States is now redoing some of these deals saying, look, you're going to start having fair trade with us. And that's the one thing that they absolutely cannot have. They are running to Latin America right now trying to make long deals. Okay? Trying to make great, deals for food because they understand that the one thing that the United States has as an export of to the EU is still food. Manufacturing isn't being produced in the United States. And I know that it was a little bit longer than 20 years. It was closer to 30. You are correct. But I was just rounding, right? That's why I said over 20 years. But the EU doesn't understand that the United States can live in isolation. There are isolationists, and I'm becoming one of them. I'm not fully there yet, but I do believe that the United States needs to start redoing some of these agreements that we've had around the world, including a lot of the defense agreements, because quite frankly, we're the only nation, for the most part. I mean, I realize there's a few others, but not nearly. I wouldn't say half of the EU. I wouldn't even say three-quarters of the EU is living up to their obligations under NATO. Well, if that's the case, then why are we even in NATO? Why is it that the U.S. has to sit up there and constantly get harassed by these other nations? They don't want a world like that. They want the U.S. to keep paying their freight. Time for us to pull all of our troops home, okay? And have deals with specific countries like Poland and the UK. And say, you know what? The rest of it, shove it up your ass. Shove it up your ass. We have 11 full-blown carrier groups, approximately. Bring them all back into off the coast and in the Mediterranean, or not the Mediterranean, the Caribbean rather, and to say, okay, this is the deal. You guys live over there, think happy thoughts about yourselves, okay? Have your wonderful little EU world. Don't call us or expect us to join into another war when it happens. Live with it the way you guys want to live with it. You want your little war? You want that? Oh, by the way, we're tossing you. You can head this to Geneva. Out goes the UN. Because the UN can go right along with it. The EU is absolutely feckless. Where are the riots in the streets? All right. Where are the protesters screaming down with Iran? Haunting Images shows a pile of abandoned shoes after Iran's bloodthirsty regime trapped surrendering protesters in a historic bazaar and burned them alive in what is being likened to an Iranian Holocaust. The picture taken on the city of Rast, right, northwest Iran, shows the aftermath of a massacre on January 8th in which the regime henchmen set fire to a popular marketplace, trapping demonstrators inside and shooting those who tried to escape, according to eyewitness accounts and human rights organizations. Well, why aren't these human rights organizations pounding up with their shoes on the table, screaming about you got to go after Iran now, you got to sanction Iran now? What are we going to do for these people? Where are they all? Why aren't they out in the streets? ICE is detaining illegal aliens. Oh, you can put them out in the freaking streets, but for an absolute massacre like this, if this is not a crime against humanity, what is? Shooting a protester who sits up there and tried to run over an ICE agent who was trying to do his job, which was to arrest her, all right, for what she was doing. The excuses that these people come, oh, she was just dropping off her kids. That's why she was in the area. She was just dropping off her kid. No, she wasn't. And everybody knows it. But when you have real Holocausts and real murdering and savages going on, what do you hear from these people? Nothing. What do you hear from the Muslim sect in New York? Why aren't they marching on the Iranian embassy? It's not about that. From Mediaite. Stephen Miller says Minnesota authorities ordered to stand down and surrender to federal officers as anti-protests intensify. President Donald Trump's top aide, Stephen Miller, shockingly declared that local and state law enforcement had been ordered to stand down and surrender as anti-ICE agents protests continue to grip the state. On a social media post, only federal officers are upholding the law. He added local and state officers have been ordered to stand down and surrender. Okay, that's a cut up quote. Hi Oz. That's a cut up quote. He's saying they've been ordered by people like the mayor of Minneapolis and the governor of the state, Walz, to stand down and surrender and not go into or do anything about these protesters who are violent. That's what he's saying. That's what he's talking about. They cut this story up. This is what the left always does. They cut this story up and took things out of context. And they're doing this intentionally. Just like this. Apparently, Viking in bathtub gets chased by fuming immigration agents. Really? But of course, this is all an AI generated video that somebody came up with, right? To make it look like this, which had no basis in any kind of reality. Yet they did an entire article about this. And then only at the end of this article do they say, well, yeah, it was AI generated. But it leads to people sitting up there thinking this kind of shit was real. It was never real. See, this used to be a skit on SNL. This is why SNL is dying, by the way. One of the reasons. It's because people are getting more of their freaking entertainment from shit like this. But you can show the video where the woman sits up there and obviously hits the officer. And yet people are saying, oh, no, 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 that didn't happen. That didn't happen. I've seen it. It didn't hit him. Then where did he get the bruise from? Well, yeah, that was after the fact. They just made that up. After the you can't be honest with this stuff. You can't go in there and tell people and be honest when you can't be honest with what was really going on. Now you could say the guy pulled his gun out before he was hit. I would agree with that. If you want to say that for the officer. He was already pulling his weapon. Yes, he was. And the reason he was pulling his weapon is that they were trying to tell her to get out of the car, and they were getting ready to arrest her, and she was already getting to the point where she was, no, 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 I don't have to follow the officers. statements, I get to do what I want. Oh, she was just there. She was just dropping off her kids and just happened to go there. Why would you believe that? If she was able to drop off her kids just a block or two away, all right, this operation wasn't going on before then, right? When she was on her way to drop the kids, she didn't see this operation before. It just appeared out of nowhere and fully ballooned when she showed up. How can you think like that? How can you sit up there and take that at face value? It's not even logical. Anyway, on to the next story. Felony charge for a TikTok challenge. This is where we are. You talk about dumbest time in history. You're right, man. Another one of those TikTok challenges has resulted in the arrest of an 18-year-old on a felony charge. According to the Florida police, surprise, surprise, it's Florida. All right, Isaac Hurley was found hiding inside a closed Walmart Tuesday evening as he was live streaming his trespassing on TikTok. Officers were dispatched to the retailer after a 911 caller said that a male suspect was broadcasting from inside the Walmart for a 24-hour challenge. The man, the caller added, was hiding in the dog bed section of the Inglewood store. Police reported finding Hurley, seen above, hiding between dog beds and actively recording on his phone. After being handcuffed and read his rights, Hurley advised that he believed that he could earn money from TikTok viewers and decided to conduct a 24-hour challenge inside Walmart. A subsequent review of Hurley's TikTok located a video of him stating he intended to complete a 24-hour challenge inside Walmart and requesting likes and shares. He entered the Walmart about 45 minutes before its 11 p.m. closing time. His planned 24-hour stay was cut short while some workers were still inside finishing their nightly duties. In addition to a felony burglary count, he was also charged with theft for allegedly taking a $16 iPhone charger from Walmart. He was freed from county jail after posting $1,500 bond. These people are just stupid. These people never leer. I don't know if that was intentional or not. I thought this was a free country. Why would you do something like this? Well, I'm going to get famous and I'm going to be on there. I'm going to get caught. Why would you believe that you're going to get away with this? Why? I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Sad case. A hiker who launched a daring search for 4 lost friends tragically plunges to his death as lost pals are rescued. A hiker was killed after setting out on his own to search for a group of missing friends in Riverside County's mountain region. The unidentified hiker was found dead at the bottom of a 150-foot rock face in Anza, Los Angeles Times reported. 4 hikers he had been looking for were later located by the Riverside County Sheriff's Office after deputies deployed aviation and mountain rescue units. Meanwhile, this guy went out on his own and fell to his death. It's a sad case. Right? Sad case. All right. Final articles of the day. Baby sea lion rescued from California parking lot. For those who don't know, sea lions may look cute, but sea lions have been known to take a chomp out of someone. All right, they've been known to take a bite out of a human being from time to time. Pup Baby Mac was found in a parking lot, a dangerous spot far from where he should be. Luckily, with the help of our friends at the Mountain View PD, our trained responders were able to rescue and transport him to our Sausalito Hospital from the Marine Mammal Center. A baby sea lion wandered out of the water in California, crossed traffic into a parking lot, where he was wrangled by security guards and police officers. The Mountain View Police Department said on social media that dispatchers received a report on January 5th of a baby sea lion in the area of the Garcia Avenue. Officers promptly responded and met with on-scene security guards who had safely secured the sea lion pup. During the MVPD sea lion rescue, Officer McPherson carefully guided the sea lion out of traffic and away from danger. She then escorted the pup back to her patrol vehicle. The sea lion was turned over to the Marine Mammal Center, which dubbed the pup Baby Mac. The pup taken to the center's animal hospital in Sausalito, where he was found to be severely malnutritious and very weak. All right, they said on social media. Officials wrote Baby Mac is too young to survive in the wild without his mother, is improving in the hospital's care. Garfield. uh, look, it's a sea lion, right? And it probably was looking for its mother, looking for food, right? Basically, milk, and either lost sight of its mom or its mom didn't return for whatever reason. Right? Just it's sad that these kind of things happen, but at least they rescued the animal and are now taking care of it. I don't know if they're going to ever be able to return it to the wild and return it back to its sea lion colony. It'll probably end up doing tricks at SeaWorld. Final story of the day. Rabbit repeatedly attempts to enter vehicles in a Colorado town. The rabbits are freaking getting dangerous. Authorities in Colorado said an unusually friendly rabbit was seen trying to hop into cars in a ski resort town is not an escaped pet, but a wild animal. So it's probably like, you know what? It's cold out here. That car looks warm. Summit County animal control officers said in an incident report that officers were contacted by a local employee in the Copper Mountain area who reported a rabbit had repeatedly attempted to hop into the visitors' cars. The employee was concerned the rabbit could be an escaped or abandoned pet. Animal control officers were unable to locate the rabbit on the day of the call, but they later received a clear photo of the attempted serial hitchhiker from witnesses. Officers determined the animal in the photo was a wild rabbit, not a domesticated pet. The rabbit had not been captured, but employees who contacted animal control were given the option to have the animal trapped and relocated up to 2 miles away. Okay, 2 miles away isn't far enough. Free better still. 2 miles away isn't far enough. Okay, if you're gonna release the animal back to the wild, and if it's an adult pet, an adult rabbit, you're probably gonna have to send it even further away. Okay, because otherwise it will find its way back. For those who don't know, 2 miles, while it seems a very vast distance, isn't that far away. It's not. Okay? During the PT test in the Army, you run 2 miles. So, this is an average distance where you're running for time. Somebody probably fed it. It'll be back. I think the thing is just looking for someplace warm because it's wintertime in that area. It's all snow and everything else. Who wants to live in that shit?